The music industry isn't always glitz and glamour. Behind the fame and fortune, some of the biggest artists have exposed the shocking truth: unfair contracts, industry control, and outright exploitation. From legal battles to artists fighting for their creative freedom, these stories reveal the dark side of the industry that many don't see. Welcome to Globewise Entertainment, your go-to channel for music industry insights, celebrity news, and untold stories. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now, let's dive into 10 times singers expose the dark side of the music industry. 1. Prince, music ownership and contracts. The rebellion of a music legend, how Prince took on the industry. The year was 1993. Prince, one of the most talented and electrifying artists of all time, walked onto the stage of an award show, but something was different. He wasn't just Prince anymore. He was now the artist formerly known as Prince. And on his face, the word slave written boldly in black marker. But why? Behind the scenes, Prince was fighting a battle that few artists had dared to take on. His record label, Warner Brothers, owned the rights to his music, every song he wrote, every note he played, every masterpiece he created. He wasn't free to release music when he wanted. The label controlled his schedule, his albums, and ultimately, his art. Prince had enough. He changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol, forcing the industry to find new ways to market him. He refused to play by their rules, making it impossible for Warner Brothers to profit off his name. He called out the industry publicly, comparing record contracts to modern-day slavery. The industry mocked him. The media called him crazy. But Prince was a visionary. He fought for what every artist truly deserves: ownership of their work. Years later, when he finally won back his masters, he had one message for young musicians. If you don't own your masters, your master owns you. Prince's fight changed the industry forever. His battle laid the groundwork for future artists, like Taylor Swift, who would one day face similar struggles. And in the end, Prince didn't just make music, he made history. 2. Taylor Swift, Masters Controversy. Taylor Swift vs. the industry, the battle for her own music. The spotlight shines bright, but behind the scenes, the music industry can be a battlefield. And in 2019, Taylor Swift found herself in the middle of one of the biggest fights of her career, not for fame, not for awards, but for something every artist deserves: ownership of their own music. For years, Taylor had been the golden child of Big Machine Records, signing with them at just 15 years old. She poured her heart into 6 albums, crafting hits that defined a generation. But there was one problem: she didn't own her masters. The rights to her music belonged to Big Machine, not her. Then came the bombshell. In June 2019, Taylor woke up to the news that Scooter Braun, a powerful industry manager, had bought Big Machine, and with it, every song she had ever recorded. This was the same man she accused of bullying her for years. He now owned her life's work. Furious and heartbroken, Taylor did something most artists are too afraid to do: she spoke out. In a viral post, she accused the industry of stripping artists of their rights, calling out the toxic male-dominated music business that profits off musicians while leaving them powerless. But Taylor wasn't going down without a fight. In a genius move, she decided to re-record all 6 albums, taking back control in a way no one saw coming. Fans rallied behind her, streaming her new versions and boycotting the originals. Labels took notes. Artists started demanding ownership of their work. Taylor Swift didn't just fight for herself, she changed the game for musicians everywhere. And that's how she exposed one of the music industry's darkest secrets. 3. Kanye West, Industry Corruption. Kanye West vs. the music industry, the billionaire who exposed the system. It was September 2020, and Kanye West had had enough. Sitting in his Grand Wyoming ranch, staring at contracts thicker than a dictionary, he made a decision. He was going to expose the music industry, no matter the cost. Kanye, one of the biggest artists of all time, had built an empire, but there was one problem. He didn't own his own music. Universal Music Group and Sony still controlled his masters, the very songs he wrote, produced, and made famous. He realized he wasn't alone. Millions of artists were trapped in unfair contracts, working for an industry that treated them like assets instead of creators. Then, Kanye did something no one expected. He went on Twitter and leaked his own contracts. Page after page of legal jargon, proving how labels lock artists into deals that strip them of ownership. He called the industry a modern-day slave ship, urging fellow artists to fight back. But he didn't stop there. Kanye posted a video that shook the internet, a clip of him literally urinating on a Grammy in his toilet. The message? Awards and recognition meant nothing if artists weren't free. His bold move caught the attention of everyone in the industry. Some artists supported him, others stayed silent out of fear. But one thing was clear, he had just pulled back the curtain on the biggest secret in the music business. His fight for artist ownership still echoes today, inspiring musicians to renegotiate contracts and demand control over their work. Kanye wasn't just making noise, he was making history. And that's how Kanye West exposed the dark side of the music industry. 4. JoJo, Blacklisting and Label Control. JoJo vs. the industry, a star silenced. At just 13 years old, JoJo became a pop sensation with her hit song Leave, Get Out. With a powerhouse voice and a bright future, she seemed destined for superstardom. But behind the scenes, the music industry had different plans. The Golden Cage. JoJo was signed to Blackground Records, the same label that once worked with Aaliyah. At first, everything seemed great, until it wasn't. The label refused to release her music, keeping her in contract limbo for nearly a decade. No albums. No singles. Nothing. JoJo recorded 2 full albums that the world never got to hear. The label had complete control over her career and wouldn't let her leave. She was trapped. Industry secrets and starvation tactics. As she grew older, JoJo began speaking out about the dark reality of the industry. She revealed that the label pressured her to lose weight in unhealthy ways, even pushing injections and extreme dieting to maintain a certain image. They would send me injections to make me lose weight. I was only 18 years old, she later revealed. Fighting for freedom. For years, JoJo fought legal battles to escape her contract. But Blackground Records refused to release her from their grip. The industry had blacklisted her, making it nearly impossible to sign with another label. Finally, in 2013, after nearly a decade of silence, she won her freedom and signed with Atlantic Records. But she wasn't done exposing the industry. The ultimate comeback. In 2018, JoJo made a bold move. She re-recorded her first 2 albums and released them independently, giving her fans the music she was never allowed to share. This was her way of taking back control from the label that had tried to erase her. Today, JoJo continues to make music on her own terms, proving that no industry machine can silence true talent. Her story remains one of the most shocking examples of how labels control, exploit, and blacklist artists who don't conform. What do you think about JoJo's story? Let us know in the comments below. 5. Kesha, Legal Battle Against Dr. Luke. Kesha vs. the industry, a fight for freedom. The bright lights, the sold-out concerts, the chart-topping hits, Kesha had it all. But behind the glitter and party anthems was a nightmare she couldn't escape. For years, Kesha was controlled by her producer, Dr. Luke, a powerful figure in the music industry. He had discovered her when she was just 18, promising to make her a star. And he did. Hits like Tick Tock and Die Young made her a household name. But behind closed doors, Kesha claimed she was living in fear. In 2014, she did the unthinkable. she spoke out. She filed a lawsuit against Dr. Luke, accusing him of abuse and manipulation, saying he had complete control over her music, her life, and even her freedom. But the industry wasn't on her side. Dr. Luke denied all accusations and sued her for defamation. Suddenly, Kesha wasn't just fighting for justice, she was fighting to make music again. Her record label refused to let her release new songs unless she worked with the very man she was trying to escape. Her fans, celebrities, and fellow artists rallied behind her. Free Kesha trended worldwide, and artists like Taylor Swift, Lady Gaga, and Adele spoke out in support. But despite the public outcry, the courts ruled against her. She was still trapped in her contract, forced to work under a system she had tried to expose. Years later, Kesha finally released Rainbow, an album of resilience and strength, but her legal battle was far from over. Her case proved just how much control the music industry has over its artists, even at their most vulnerable. Kesha's story wasn't just about one woman's fight, it was a wake-up call to the dark realities lurking behind the industry's shiny facade. And she wasn't the only one. Many artists have tried to expose the truth. And some paid the price for it. 6. Michael Jackson, Industry Manipulation. The king who fought the system, how Michael Jackson exposed the music industry. It was the early 2000s, and Michael Jackson, the undisputed king of pop, stood before a sea of fans, but this time, he wasn't there to perform. He was there to fight back. Dressed in a sharp suit, his voice firm and filled with frustration, he raised the microphone and called out the very industry that had once made him a superstar. The record companies really do conspire against the artists. They steal, they cheat, they do everything they can. His words echoed through the crowd, but this wasn't just talk. Michael had evidence. For years, he had battled behind the scenes with Sony Music, the label that controlled his music. He had made them billions, yet they held his masters, his life's work, like a hostage. He was trapped in a system designed to keep artists powerless. At the center of it all was Tommy Mottola, Sony's powerful executive. Michael didn't hold back. In front of the cameras, he called Mottola a racist, a devil, and exposed how the industry exploits black artists. But the industry didn't take kindly to being exposed. After speaking out, Michael faced a wave of media attacks, scandals, and suspicious allegations that tried to tarnish his legacy. Some fans believe he was deliberately silenced for daring to challenge the system. Despite the backlash, his message remained. Artists must fight for their rights. The industry doesn't want you to know the truth. Michael Jackson's battle was more than just a fight for his own music, it was a warning to all artists. And even today, his words still haunt the industry. Do you think Michael was right? Or was he just being paranoid? Let us know in the comments. 7. Tinashe, lack of artist support. Tinashe vs. the music industry, a battle for creative freedom. Tinashe had it all, talent, a dedicated fan base, and a unique sound that blended R&B, pop, and electronic music. But behind the scenes, she was trapped in an industry that didn't believe in her. She started young, releasing independent mixtapes that caught the attention of RCA Records. Signing with them seemed like a dream come true. But soon, that dream turned into a nightmare. The industry's control begins. At first, RCA promised her creative freedom. But as she started working on her debut album, the label had other plans. They wanted radio-friendly hits, not her experimental, genre-bending style. Tinashe recorded hundreds of songs, but the label shelved most of them. She was forced to work with producers she didn't choose and release songs she didn't fully believe in. Even when she scored a hit with 2 On, RCA didn't push her the way they did other artists. The waiting game. Then came the worst part, the delays. Tinashe had a full album ready, she was excited to share it with the world. But RCA wouldn't release it. They kept pushing back the dates, making excuses, and leaving her in limbo. She tried everything. She begged the label to let her drop music, she even leaked her own songs online in frustration. But RCA wasn't listening. They didn't see her as a priority. Breaking free. After years of fighting, Tinashe had enough. In 2019, she finally left RCA Records, choosing to go independent. It was risky, but it was the only way she could make music on her own terms. Since then, she's been thriving. She now controls her own music, releases what she wants, when she wants, and connects directly with her fans. The lesson? Tinashe's story proves that the music industry can be a trap for artists who don't fit the mainstream mold. Labels care more about trends than talent, and many artists are left unheard. But she also showed that freedom is worth fighting for. Today, she's making the music she always wanted to, on her own terms. Would you rather have fame controlled by a label or creative freedom as an independent artist? Let us know in the comments. 8. Zayn Malik, One Direction Control. Zayn Malik, breaking free from the machine. Zayn Malik had it all: fame, fortune, and millions of fans worldwide. As a member of One Direction, he was part of one of the biggest boy bands in history. But behind the bright lights and screaming crowds, Zayn felt trapped. From the outside, One Direction looked like a dream come true, but inside, it was a high-pressure machine. The group was constantly touring, recording, and promoting, with little room for personal freedom. Every move was controlled: what they wore, what they said, even how they behaved in public. Zayn, who had always been more introverted and artistic, started feeling suffocated. He wasn't allowed to explore his own music style, and creative control was out of the question. The pressure to maintain a perfect image was overwhelming. He once admitted, "I just wanted to go home from the beginning." Then, in 2015, at the height of One Direction's fame, Zayn did the unthinkable: he quit. The news shocked the world. Fans were heartbroken, and the media was in a frenzy. But for Zayn, it was a moment of liberation. After leaving, he didn't hold back. He spoke openly about how the industry treated artists like products rather than people. He revealed that he was forced into a pop image that didn't represent him. He even shared that the band was pressured into non-stop work, leaving little time for personal lives or mental health. Once free, Zayn finally created the music he always wanted. His solo career took off, proving that leaving the industry's control was the best decision he ever made. His first album, Mind of Mine, was a statement: dark, moody, and personal, nothing like the bubblegum pop of One Direction. Zayn Malik's story is a reminder that even at the top, artists can feel powerless. But sometimes, walking away is the only way to truly find yourself. What do you think about Zayn's decision? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Globewise Entertainment for more eye-opening music industry stories. 9. Britney Spears, Conservatorship and Control. The pop princess who became a prisoner. For years, Britney Spears was the world's biggest pop star. She was everywhere: her music ruled the charts, her performances electrified audiences, and her face was plastered on every magazine cover. But behind the glittering lights, something was deeply wrong. At the height of her fame, Britney's life took a dramatic turn. In 2008, after a series of personal struggles, she was placed under a conservatorship, a legal arrangement that gave her father, Jamie Spears, and a team of handlers complete control over her career, money, and even her personal life. The world thought it was for her well-being. But Britney? She was trapped. For 13 years, she was forced to perform, record music, and go on tours, all while having no control over her own decisions. She couldn't even drive her own car or make medical choices without approval. The industry kept cashing in on her, while she remained a prisoner in plain sight. Then, in 2021, Britney finally spoke out. In a shocking court testimony, she exposed the truth. She was forced to work against her will. She was medicated without her consent. She wasn't even allowed to have children. "I just want my life back," she pleaded. Her words shook the world. Fans who had suspected something was wrong for years, the Free Britney movement, rallied behind her. The pressure became too much, and finally, in November 2021, Britney won her freedom. Her case exposed how the music industry can control and exploit artists, treating them like money-making machines rather than human beings. It was a rare glimpse behind the curtain, one that forced the world to question how many other artists are trapped in the same system. Britney Spears wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for every artist who had ever been silenced. And in the end, she won. 10. TLC, Financial Exploitation. The Price of Fame, TLC's shocking revelation. It was 1996. The Grammy Awards stage was set, and TLC had just won Best R&B Album for Crazy Sexy Cool. The trio, T-Boz, Left Eye, and Chili, stood before a roaring crowd, the world at their feet. They were the biggest girl group of the decade, selling millions of albums, topping the charts, and revolutionizing R&B. But behind the glittering success, there was a dark secret. As the crowd quieted, Left Eye took the mic. With a confident but serious tone, she said, "This is a very touchy subject, but we're broke as broke can be." The room fell silent. How could TLC, one of the best-selling girl groups in the world, be broke? The truth was hidden in their contract. Their label, LaFace Records, along with their management, had signed them into a terrible deal. While the group was selling millions of records, they were barely seeing any of the money. Most of the earnings were being taken by the label, managers, and production teams. And then came the breaking point, bankruptcy. Despite selling over 10 million copies of *Crazy Sexy Cool, TLC had only earned $50,000 each. Their debts outweighed their income, and they had no choice but to file for bankruptcy. The music industry had trapped them in a system where artists were nothing more than products, used, overworked, and underpaid. But TLC didn't stay silent. They took their fight public, speaking out in interviews and exposing how record labels exploited young artists with unfair contracts. Their story became one of the most shocking realities of the music business, proving that even the most successful stars could be victims of industry greed. Their battle forced the industry to change, inspiring artists to fight for better deals and take control of their careers. And that's a wrap on 10 Times Singers Exposed the Dark Side of the Music Industry. The truth behind the industry can be shocking, and these artists had the courage to speak out. What do you think about these revelations? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with others. And if you haven't subscribed to Globewise Entertainment yet, make sure to do so now for more eye-opening content on the music world. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.